just like I think everybody else, I ended up going to Summer League this year and I saw Victor Wembanyama play live. I unfortunately missed the first game because, well, there were two reasons. I was maybe going to miss it anyways because I didn't buy a ticket for day one, and two, I missed my flight. That one kind of sealed it. Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference in how this video performs in the YouTube algorithm. The actual first game, I did not anticipate, because I was in Summer League last year, didn't actually anticipate just how much of a difference maker Victor Wembanyama would make in terms of attendance for this event. Because first day, you could buy tickets day of. There were plenty. In this case, it was all sold out for the first day and mostly sold out for the second day. I got tickets with like a few left for day two, which honestly doesn't even really make that much sense because Wemby didn't even play day two, but I digress. The event was popular this time around, much more densely packed. Saw a bunch of cool faces. I am not a huge OKC fan, but I managed to catch Nick Collison, and I was there with two OKC fans, including 3Cone. My other good friend Alex Hoops, who's an OKC fan, I was not able to, I'll just explain this real quick. They went to the bathroom and I was waiting outside and I was like, oh shit, it's Nick Collison. So I ran into the bathroom and screamed for them in front of like 20 people, and then Connor ran out to go get a photo with him. Anyways, that was a tangent. Summer League was great, but I really wanted to talk about Victor Wembanyama and his performance specifically in the second game. I believe it was against the Portland Trailblazers, unfortunately without Scoot Henderson, because wow, that would have been fun to see. But you know, life's not fair. I also didn't get a chance to record this video at the time of that game. It's kind of hard to record in a hotel in Las Vegas and just to do any kind of work in Las Vegas because you're surrounded by people that you like. So I'm doing it now. Sorry if it's a little bit delayed, but let's talk about Wemby and what he showed to me. Now, obviously, I'm going into this as someone who does not know a ton about Victor Wembanyama. Now, by comparison to basically every other prospect, I know more about Wemby than anybody else. Not anybody else, people who know about him, but anybody else in the draft. From what I understand, shooting stroke has positives and negatives. His mid-range numbers look great. His three-point numbers are so-so. Free throw numbers are okay, but not really extreme one way or the other as far as I'm aware. Offensively speaking, there is a little bit of concern, and I thought was showcased in this game with just him being bumped off of his spots really easily. Like, I do think weight and muscle and strength and being too thin or whatever gets extremely overblown with players like Wembanyama, because like if you have Victor's frame, which is a huge reason why he's as good as he is, you're just kind of inherently going to be skinny. Like if you have an 8 foot long wingspan and your arms are thick, you're a freak of nature beyond belief. Not that Wemby isn't already a freak of nature, but like to have a bunch of muscle on arms that big, it's like at that point you are just literally a giant. At the same time though, as much as I do think that gets overblown, something that stood out to me a lot was how much he gets bumped off of his spot, specifically by people that are smaller than him, shorter than him. Though, you know, if you actually take a look at it weight-wise, a lot of these guards necessarily aren't actually that much smaller than him. They just are indeed shorter than him. But that's a thing that stood out to me that he's going to have to worry about and work on, is like, you don't have to be... Wemby does not have to be a strength player. Strength does not have to be, ironically, one of his strengths. But he can't be knocked down so easily. He can't go flying the moment he gets contact on a screen. That kind of thing is concerning for sure. At the same time though, he could leverage that into some calls, and he did get to the free throw line quite a bit here and get a couple of off the ball fouls. So, you know, there's positives to this side of things, but that's the big negative that stood out to me. But pretty much everything else, man, like, I don't know what else to say that isn't positive. He got some good finishing going. He got a really tough and one. And he hit a couple of mid-range shots that were like, yeah, man, there's just nothing you can do about that. One that he got fouled on that didn't go in, but like when I saw it, like seeing that in person, seeing where his release point is relative to the defender that fouled him, it was like hilarious. Like there was so much room for that shot, even though that guy, the defender, like threw his whole body at him trying to get over that ball. But the thing is, like, if you actually want to block Wemby at his release point, you have to jump 10, you have to get your hand 10 feet in the air. Like, his release point is at the rim. So if you are not jumping as high as you need to dunk, you are not jumping high enough to block a Wembanyama jump shot, which is ridiculous. And as a result, he kind of got what he wanted, and he finished with 27 points, a couple of it free throws, but a good amount of it shots, all under, I think, like 25 minutes. He left halfway through the third quarter and would not return. He just cooked at every turn. And, you know, if anything, the only real concerns I have, anything that I had as an issue with him offensively, other than him getting bumped around, were things that were because of the Spurs players. Like, they just don't know how to set up a big man. The Summer League environment in particular is built for guards and guys who can just create off of the dribble really, really well. Wemby obviously has some on-ball creation ability. However, him being the leader in that is not necessarily the most ideal thing, and he still does a lot of big man stuff and thus needs to be set up like a big man needs to be set up. He needs someone to make plays for him because he is a play finisher primarily and a creator secondarily. And that creation he showcased and got some points off of it. But where Wemby is going to get a lot of his points is going to be in pick and pops, which he got very few of, and it's going to be in dump off passes in the paint, which he got very few of. Not to mention being able to throw a fucking entry pass in the post. Like, easily my most like boomer basketball take is that it seems like people stopped teaching young players how to throw post passes, like get it into the post, and it can drive you fucking nuts when you're watching a really good post player and just a team of guys who were never taught how to make an entry pass. I realize that posting up is not as relevant as it used to be, but when you have a 7'5" guy, especially if he has a mismatch, you should be able to make the proper pass into him so that he can take advantage of that. And in this case, it didn't happen much. But I think in San Antonio's system, with actual NBA players like Keldon Johnson, and I expect a huge year out of, his name is escaping me right now and it's driving me nuts. Oh my God. Why can't I remember his name right now? Devin Vassell, as well as Trey Jones, who's a pretty good playmaker. I just think these guys are going to be able to get Wemby his shots when he gets to his spots. Another thing, speaking of getting player shots, Wemby's playmaking is really good. I don't think it's just a thing that's like, oh cool, he can kind of do this too. I think Wemby might be like a 6 assist per game guy on top of everything else that he can do. Because obviously he's drawing a lot of attention from the defense, but he's making split decisions, quick decisions where there is a very thin window to actually get the ball through, or if he doesn't make the choice to pass in the split second that he sees a pass available, he's not going to get that pass will not be available, but he makes it. And there were multiple instances of him finding guys open and them just bricking their shots. So honestly, I think my biggest takeaways with Wemby on offense, he is in need of playmaking and teammates who know how to set him up. He is in need of teammates who can hit their open shots when he sets them up. And if his mid-range jumper is legit, good fucking luck stopping that. Not to mention that he looked really strong in the interior. The only real negative, again, seems like he gets pushed around a little too easily. Now, the big thing to harp on, and the thing that stood out significantly to me, more so than anything offensively, was the defense. Victor Wembanyama is going to enter the league, and by 10 games probably into the year, give him a little bit of an adjustment period, I think we're going to be talking about him as a top 10 defender in the league. And honestly, I'm being conservative in that estimate, just because you never really know with a young player. We thought Zion Williamson was going to be a really good defender. Not that this is a one-to-one example by any stretch, but I'm fairly confident Wemby will be an all-defense candidate immediately, because when he was on the floor, they just stopped going in the paint. The paint was no longer a factor on offense. The moment Wembanyama stepped onto the floor, it became jump shot after jump shot after jump shot for Portland. And they made a couple of them. That's just natural. You can't defend the entire floor. But anything that Wemby could defend, he did defend, and he defended it extremely well. The amount of space this guy can cover in a short amount of time, not only because he moves fast, but because even if he is a little bit late to a play, like you can be a little bit late to a play if you have an 8-foot wingspan, he's ridiculous. Defensively, the space he covers, he can handle guards on the perimeter. He's a ridiculous rim protector. He's just so good at that shit. And truly, like, he's good at the big man stuff on defense, and then on offense, he can do a lot of the big man stuff and be a guard in many respects, both creating for himself and creating for his teammates. So yeah, I don't know if you guys knew this. This guy's a pretty ridiculous prospect. And a lot of people after his first game, he did not play well. That's definitely true. I thought it was silly, the overreaction, and he pretty much immediately proved it in game 2. It's a matter of circumstances. Team construction matters so much. And so many people have this weird way of looking at these players where, like, okay, Wemby, you're this great prospect, apparently. If you don't have 40, 10, and 10 at halftime, you're a bust. Like, it's very weird the way that people talk about basketball, and they almost get to the point when a prospect is as hyped up as Wemby is, to where their expectations are straight up unrealistic for what is achievable in the realm of playing basketball. And, you know, to be fair, Wemby is someone who seems to break the conventions of what is achievable as a basketball player, but at a certain point, people get to a place where they're asking for things that are straight up impossible. And I think we will see next year with Wemby, he'll probably cruise to that Rookie of the Year award unless Scoot gets it. Scoot's really the only guy I think that has a real shot. Chet Holmgren, I think, would make a pretty good bid. I think that guy is going to be really good. But yeah, I think I've rambled about Wemby enough. I do want to say right at the very end here, because, you know, only the people who give a shit about me at all are still watching at this point. I had a fucking amazing time at Summer League. I met a lot of very, very cool people, a lot of people I've wanted to meet for a very long time. Did miss a few people I really wanted to meet, and that made me sad, but overall, great experience. And specifically, I went to Kenny and the Through the Wire Crew's show, and, you know, they shouted me out, which was awesome. But after the show, like, obviously there's a lot of overlap there. I had like 20 different people take photos with me. And to this point, I've had like 2 people do that. I've been spotted and recognized a few times, but for the most part, you guys watching these videos, you just kind of look like a number on a screen to me. Your comments, and especially people talking to me on Twitter, I get a little bit of sense of community of. But in general, you know, it's just a number. You don't really get the sense of, you know, how many people are actually out there that like your shit. And for those of you that do, for those of you that have been around for a long time and stuck with me, or those of you who are new even and are just, you know, like what you see. I know I'm so good looking. I don't know what that was about. I appreciate it nonetheless. It really, really made my day and was an experience that I will never forget. And it frankly motivated me to work pretty fucking hard for you guys, because I felt the love and I want to give it right back by giving you guys the content that you want. And I intend to do that with both channels at a very high volume very, very soon. So look out for that. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.